And welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website, go there. The dog gets up. He leaves my side as soon as I start the show. Look, here's the thing. I just got back from a movie. I got back from seeing Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And this man missed me. He just wants to hang out with me all the time. And I come back, I sit down and record a podcast, and boom, he's gone. Here we are. Welcome back. You'll have to forgive me. I'm looking over the cast of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and not a lot of people of color, even in the voiceover department. Just saying. And it's just something that I'm doing. Any Hoosers, I love the Planet of the Apes movies. I think they're fantastic. I enjoyed every second of this movie. It's just wonderful. It does not matter what any review will ever say. These Planet of the Apes movies, this new series is fantastic. I have not seen the Mark Wahlberg reboots. Is it reboots or reboot? How many movies were in the rebooted series? In the remake, excuse me. 2001. There was one. Okay. So I've only seen like a second of that movie. It was probably on YouTube at some point. I've seen clips of Planet of the Apes. And then I've seen clips of Escape from the Planet of the Apes. And that's it. But I love this. I love the reboot series. It's fantastic. The first one with James Franco before he was problematic. Oh my God, it's so lovely. And you see where Caesar draws on in chalk, I guess, or scrapes on metal, the window when he's taken away from his home. Oh, it's so sad. And just like to see Caesar just turn into the leader that he's supposed to be. Admittedly, I was walking the dog, said dog. I got food for him and the cat. Came home. The movie started at noon. It was noon. Which is fine with me. I love missing trailers. That's my favorite thing to do. But it was noon. So I knew I had 20 minutes. I said, okay, time to boogie. I had to make lunch because if I'm going to bike there, I'm going to take a lunch. And so I had to make lunch. Then I had to change clothes because I was sweaty from the hot walk. And then I had to pump up air in the bike tires. I think there's a slow leak in the back tire, which is frustrating, but can't do much about it. Because I just rode it Wednesday, which is the thing. Just rode it Wednesday, and it was near like I usually keep them at 100 psi, and it was like 40. Anyways, when I actually, you know what, it's not interesting at all. But when I got that bike, and it had like this, it had a leak. It did not have like the tires would not stay inflated or anything. So I took it, get it fixed, all that stuff. And when I took it in, the guy was like, "This needs to be at 100 psi every day." It was like, I just had it for like 2 days. I'm like, I don't know. So you have to pump it apparently every single day. Any Hoosers, I rode my bike down there, and it was 12. By the time I entered the building, it was 20 minutes, 12:26. So I was 6 minutes behind. There was a point where I was maybe 2 minutes in the biking, and I was like, should I go? Because I forgot what time it started. I thought it started at 11:45, and I was like, I need to be there at 12, or I need to leave at 12. And I couldn't, for some reason, when a movie is about to start, it was 12:18 by the time I left, excuse me. So it took me 8 minutes to go over there. But when, for some reason, on AMC's app and on Atom Tickets and on the internet, you can't check times after the movie, you can't buy like a ticket after 5 minutes before the movie is about to start, which is so crazy to me. Also, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is 300 years after the War for the Planet of the Apes. Interesting. I'm still on the Wikipedia page. I don't know how you don't hire people of color for even voicing characters. Anyway, I got there and waltzed right in. Nope, actually I had to get popcorn. Spent $10 on popcorn. I came back with got a refill. I brought some plastic bags with me. Dumped the popcorn in there. Look, it's $10. All right, it's good popcorn. I bring it home. I've got minimum 2 to 3 days of popcorn. Maximum a week. How do I know? Because I had some last night from when I saw Fall Guy last week. Very true. Those are the truths. Anyway, I like the Planet of the Apes. They're fantastic movies. Okay, so let's get on with some business. This first story, and I picked up a news story as I sat down. I was checking the email for C Plus Comedy, and I got a very interesting story from the Hollywood Reporter, and I want to talk about it. We'll talk about it last, or third. Yes, fourth. Okay. First story comes from Hollywood Reporter. Caitlin Houston wrote it. Disney will add ESPN title to Disney Plus this year. This is no shocker. They're trying to make an in-house brand for... not in-house brand, excuse me. They're trying to make people stay on one app. The longer you stay on an app, there's more of a chance that you'll watch something on that app. So that's why you really don't see Netflix moving shows and movies off of there. I don't think... I'm not kidding. When last week, in preparation for Netflix's The Joke Festival, they put out my name is David. My next guest is with David Letterman, whatever the heck that show was called. They put out a John Mulaney episode, so I decided to watch that, and then I said, because I'd never seen a second of these My Next Guest is, because I've just never been interested, and so I said, you know what? Let me watch at least one more of these My Next Guest is. I could not find any other episode except for the Obama one and I think the Dave Chappelle one. And I just thought, why? I know there's at least, 3 seasons, quote unquote. I think I don't know if they're in seasons or not, but I know there's way more. There's a Lizzo one. There's, these other ones. And I could not find them for the life of me. I Googled them. I knew they existed. I Googled them. I looked at them on my phone, looked for them on my iPad, couldn't find them on Chromecast with Google TV. For some reason, they were not popping up for me. And I just thought, does Netflix remove things? So I started Googling that. Does Netflix remove things? No, they do not. And I couldn't find anything that they removed anything. That is their own. That is their own IP. So, but anyway, I mean, lo and behold, on Monday, when the second episode, this is very circuitous, the second episode of John Mulaney's late night style show from Netflix's A Joke Festival was preparing to air, I just saw every episode of My Next Guest Is, or whatever the heck that show was called, with David Letterman, and I like, where was this on Friday when I was looking for it? Anyway, all that to say is the longer that you stay on the Disney Plus app, for instance, they know they're going to keep you peeled. That's why the Hulu stuff is there. Eventually, in a couple years' time, we're going to see Hulu fade away. And even though we're going to have an ESPN separate service, that's still going to be integrated somehow into Disney Plus. So by the end of the calendar year, Bob Iger said this week during the results, the quarterly results, select live games as well as studio programming are going to be available to watch within Disney Plus, and it's going to be available for all U.S. subscribers. That's kind of in line with what Max is doing with their Bleacher Report Sports and the CNN Live stuff. Speaking of Max, Disney Plus and Max Disney and Warner Brothers are teaming up for a streaming bundle with Disney Plus, Max, and Hulu. Obviously, yes, the same joke has been made, not even joke, the same anecdote has been made 100 times over, even before this happened. Yes, we're all going back to cable. Yes, we all know it. But it's just going to be in different bundles and more or less more accessible. Not cheaper, but more accessible for the average viewer. And it's going to be available for you to pick and choose. If you don't want Max, for whatever reason, then you're should be able to subscribe to Disney Plus. What's interesting is I saw a quote from David Zaslav talking about how this deal with Disney, this team up, they don't know if it's temporary or if it's going to be permanent, but he says it's going to take a load off. Essentially, more or less, he's going to take the load off of, every streamer. because it's not going to, because if Paramount and NBC Universal team up for Peacock and Paramount Plus team up, then it really takes the pressure off of one of them to meet the expectations of their shareholders. Iger added that ESPN will, quote, make a pivot toward digital, but without abandoning linear. In terms of sports rights, Iger noted ESPN's long-term deals include college football championships, NCAA championships, and the NFL. The standalone ESPN streaming service will be part of the Disney Plus bundle. And that's going to, Maverick, hey, buddy. And that's going to include all of ESPN's channels and all of its major rights packages from the NFL, NBA, MLB, and NHL, and the college sports. What is that going to happen? They can't have ESPN, ESPN Plus, and Disney Plus. My guess is that in the summertime, this summer, as we inch closer towards the this fall, I'm gonna say this fall, as we inch closer towards the release of the ESPN streaming product, the standalone streaming product for next year, we're gonna get that ESPN Plus is gonna sunset sometime after the ESPN streaming product itself. ESPN Plus obviously will not survive this. Speaking of ESPN, this comes from NBC Sports, written by Mike Florio. ESPN NFL Network are believed to be closing in on a deal. The NFL Network, if you haven't heard, is really just going through it right now. They moved what I think to be the best sports analysis show, Good Morning Football. They're moving that to the West Coast, moving from New York to California. And yes, Inside the NBA is fantastic. I think that is the best, but I also think GMFB is like truly right under it. And they're like, how come not? Okay. I don't watch a lot of sports analytical shows, but I do know, the basic ones, the First Takes, the Get Up and Goes. That's what I call it. Get Up. I know all the basic ones. I don't watch Fox Sports because I think they're all just derivative of the ESPN product. I have two thoughts. One, there are no good, besides Inside the NBA and Good Morning Football, every other sports analytical show is just a horrible hobgoblin of what a good show should be. A lot of screaming, a lot of goat talk, goat, 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 goat. That's not a conversation. That's you rehashing lists over and over again. And two, I think that across the board, shows that aren't focused on all sports tend to be better products than the ones that have to cover everything. That have to be the catch-all, have to be the umbrella. So I can go to the MLB Network and I can watch, which I can't because YouTube TV doesn't have it, but I can go to MLB Network and I can watch one of their shows and I can get the minutia of what's going on in the baseball world compared to if you watch Get Up or SportsCenter. Well, not SportsCenter. I don't want to include SportsCenter on this list. But if you watch Get Up or First Take. Did I call it First Talk earlier? Same thing goes for NFL Network. I can go to any one of those shows and it'd be much better than what you get on First Things First or Undisputed. That's just what happens because I think those people in these shows that are hired on NFL Network, MLB Network, even NBA TV are much smarter than the ones that have to work for ESPN and Fox Sports. No offense. In January, Andrew Marchand, then of the New York Post, reported that the NFL and ESPN were in advanced talks that could result in the NFL taking an equity stake in ESPN, and that would get ESPN control of NFL media. That might be coming true. The NFL still has multiple key NFL media employees under contract, even after they have this NFL Network stuff that's just going down, like where everything is just slowly dying. Ian Rappaport recently renewed his deal with the league. It's unclear what will happen to the contracts that they currently have with other people alongside Ian. The league has been stripping original programming from NFL Network, starting with a nonsensical extended hiatus of its popular morning show and culminating in multiple reports that Total Access, the original and signature studio show, is being shut down for good. One of the questions, there are a lot of questions being raised about NFL Network and ESPN. What's going to happen to the network? Is ESPN going to remain independent when it comes to sports coverage? Because look at YouTube reviewers, look at tech reviewers, people who say they have honest quotes, opinions about stuff, but you're sent a product and you don't disclose that. You're sent a product from, Huawei and you don't disclose it, and you give it a favorable review when it's in fact not a good product. Then what's going to happen? If I was going to pull up my iPad is sitting on a let's talk about the new iPads. If the new iPad Pros are sent to you and they send you a $3,000 iPad Pro, 2 terabytes, it's got the nano texture screen, cellular, and it's got the new Apple Pencil Pro. I might have just outed myself on what I want. I don't want a nano texture screen though. The thing looks like crap. I want the OLED, baby. But if they send you that new iPad Pro and you go, this is the greatest product in the world, when in fact it's just like the M1 version and the M2 version, with the exception of faster storage or something, and a better screen and better Wi-Fi, then you are shilling for that company and that product. So the same thing could happen for ESPN, is what they're saying. All right, let's move on. This comes from the New York Times, written by Benjamin Mullen and Lauren Hirsch. Sony and Apollo's plan for Paramount. Break it up. There was news last week that the exclusive deal, excuse me, oh my God. I drank so much water during this movie, and I biked home, and then I peed. And for some reason, my throat is still dry. I muted myself so I could drink some water. I'm not going to edit that out. This is too much editing. So last week, the exclusive talks between Paramount Global and Skydance ran out. The exclusivity window for that deal ran out. That Skydance offered them money. And Sherry Redstone said, no, thank you. She wanted more money. Sony Pictures Entertainment and private equity giant Apollo Global Management. I don't know last week if I said Blackstone or Apollo, but Apollo Global Management, they put in a combined offer. And the big problem there is Sony's a Japanese-owned company, and there's a hesitation about selling off American assets, American studios over to Sony. And then Apollo is a private equity place. So I don't know how many studios are private equity owned, or even networks or anything. I think the Skydance idea would have been great. The head of that studio's a smart guy, and it would bring together a lot of great properties. Star Trek, the rest. Now, the problem here is if Sony and Apollo are able to actually buy this, and again, that's a big if, what would happen to the assets? Because they couldn't take everything with them because they'd be too big. The idea would be to auction off networks like MTV and Nickelodeon and Paramount Plus and CBS News, along those lines. Paramount Pictures would go under the Sony banner, and that's movies like The Godfather, Top Gun, Mission Impossible. The bid was for $26 billion, and Sony Apollo are likely to keep Paramount's library of films and TV shows and the rights to well-known characters like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and SpongeBob SquarePants. The last time Paramount and CBS essentially just got back together. They came back together in 2019. My God, it feels like sooner than that. But yeah, that's insane. And a breakup would not, it would just be it would be I think it would be bad for the industry because we lost Fox Studios when that was absorbed by Disney, and they did that mostly for Marvel stuff. See how frustrated I am by that. The two companies, Sony and Apollo, would likely operate the company as a joint venture controlled by Sony with a minority stake owned by Apollo. Sony would look to combine the marketing and distribution functions of the Paramount movie studio with its own operations and divest the rest of the properties. Over time, Apollo could sell its stake in the joint venture back to Sony or another buyer. It's not clear just how large a stake Apollo would hold in the business, though the company plans to invest billions in the deal, one person said. Sherry Redstone does not want to break up with Paramount. Again, she was the one who wanted to bring them back together, Paramount and CBS back together. But she's more in it for the money. Sony and Paramount have different approaches to the entertainment business, and a deal would likely result in a U-turn for Paramount. Unlike Paramount, which streams its content at Paramount Plus, Sony licenses its shows and movies to Disney and Netflix. There's a lot of them on Stars as well. And Sony could, just a theory, just be like, with Paramount Plus, hey, Universal, take it. We don't need it. You can take all that. Splitting up SpongeBob and Fairly Odd Parents and Dora the Explorer. I'll name some things on our Nickelodeon. Star Trek. I think that's the only place you can watch Cheers right now, too. I'm not entirely sure, but I know for a fact last week I turned on Cheers on one of their 24-hour streaming channels on the Paramount Plus network. And then I turned on Pluto TV and I was watching Becker. I'm like, can't get enough of Ted Danson. Sony has long pursued Paramount's movie studio. This is new to me. Several years ago, Sony executives reached out to Paramount to see if the company would be willing to sell Paramount Pictures or merge it into a joint venture. But Paramount signaled it was interested only in a deal for the whole company. So when Apollo made a bill for Paramount this year, Sony decided to team up. Ugh. Regulatory hurdles, obviously, the Japanese-based Sony Group would not be allowed to own CBS-affiliated TV stations. Apollo could apply for the license, and then or they could sell off the stations as soon as the deal clears, if the deal clears. Of course, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States would have to say yes to this, especially about the foreign owners thing. It's just bad. It's bad for the business all around. This is not good. Again, if things like this happen and continue to happen, remember what happened with Warner Brothers and Discovery most recently. A lot of people lost their jobs. Chad, I lost my job. I lost 2 jobs with them in the past 2 years. And before that, Disney and Fox, 9,000 jobs were lost in total. I don't know if in total, but I know 9,000 jobs, over 9,000 jobs. I'm not doing the meme. And with all this combining things, we're seeing shows be canceled left and right, movies, the same ones coming out over and over again. There was news in the Warner Brothers quarterly financials. They announced that they're redoing, on top of redoing Harry Potter in a TV show format, they're redoing Lord of the Rings in movies. So the first one is coming out in 2026. It's like The Hunt for Gollum, I think, or Gollum Returns. Anyway, Andy Serkis is back as Gollum, and he's directing the movie. We don't need to redo those movies. They're fine. Just let them be. In the same way, Rick Porter writes over at The Hollywood Reporter, this is the story that I literally just found when I sat down. Peak TV is over. Welcome to Peak IP. We've got spinoffs on top of spinoffs on top of spinoffs. ABC, I just got this email, and I'm so sad about it. ABC just canceled Not Dead Yet, over on ABC Network, and they renewed a crap ton of reality shows. This is what I said when I saw that email. I went, "Oh God, they're turning into Fox," and they are. ABC is turning into Fox. Fox only has cooking, Gordon Ramsay shows and reality shows. Date the Farmer, is that what it's called? Gordon Ramsay, and this is one of the emails. Gordon Ramsay, Fox to launch food brand and entertainment platform Bite. It's ugh, it's gross. I hate it. Okay, but we've Law and Order, SVU, organized crime is moving over to Peacock. Unfortunately, I don't know why. Just because it's not getting the ratings they want it to get. We've got a Chicago Wednesday. We've got FBI shows. That's all Dick Wolf. He has 6. Excuse me. He has 9 shows across 2 networks, and they're all kind of in the same universe. Hey. Spinoffs and successful series were almost as old as the network TV itself. The first ones premiered on the late 1950s. The current state of the business, however, with its nearly boundless viewing options for both old and new programming. Sit. I pulled him back so he didn't go over there and run, and I smacked the side of him, and I pulled him close. Don't. Oh God. On broadcast networks alone, the 2023-2024 season will feature 21 scripted series that are part of a franchise, defined as a show that has spun off another series set in the same world or its spinoff. Young Sheldon was a spinoff, and now there's going to be a spinoff of that show. Night Court is a continuation. The Equalizer is a continuation or a remake. The Bachelor has 3 different ones going on. Walking Dead has 7 shows. Oh, my watch is dying. I thought I was getting a phone call. House of the Dragon's coming back. There's an Outer Banks spinoff on Netflix. The Boys spinoff, Gen V, is going on. A studio executive tells a Hollywood Reporter that as audiences have grown more savvy about what they choose, the concept of a franchise or brand can expand beyond the traditional definition to include shows from specific creators. Just as viewers know that what they'll be getting with an NCIS series, which I think they canceled NCIS Hawaii, they also know certain things to expect from shows headed by Shonda Rhimes, Ryan Murphy, or Tina Fey. Ugh. Oh, there's this. I forgot about 911 Lone Star. Wait a minute, hold on. Fox dropped 911, but they kept Lone Star, and then ABC picked up 911. That's crazy. What? I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. That's like Deal or No Deal Island going to. That's a bad analogy. That's like Celebrity Jeopardy being on ABC. Oh, it is like Celebrity Jeopardy being on ABC and regular Jeopardy being on NBC. That makes sense. All right, go ahead. People love IP. We are part of the problem. We're not watching enough new shows like Not Dead Yet. And even though that show was fluff, I love that show. I really do. So it's unfortunate to see that these shows are losing. You know what? I was going to do a different story, but this episode's already long enough. So I'm going to save that till next week or delete it. TV is turning into movies. It's recognizable, yes, but it is something that if we continue to watch the same things over and over and over again, then we're only going to be fed the same things over and over and over again. If you have chicken and broccoli and rice for dinner every single night, that's what you're going to get used to. And even though you're tired of it, you're still going to eat it because you're going to go, oh, chicken, broccoli, rice, chicken, broccoli, rice, chicken, broccoli, rice. We're doing this to ourselves, and we need to stop doing it. Like if I go to Netflix.com right now. I was gonna stop picking on Netflix, but I'm gonna pick on Netflix. And I scroll down twice. I have a lot of original things. I have Killing Eve. I've got Mortal Engines. I like that movie a lot. But in the same, I do like Mortal Engines a lot. But in the same vein, I also have Ninjago, Masters of Spinjitzu, which it was a Cartoon Network show, but also Netflix rebooted that show. And so you can just see a bunch of Ninjago stuff, Lego Ninjago on Netflix. And then there's The Gentleman, which is a spin-off series of the movie. And then Shrek, which has 4 different movies. And is going to come back with a 5th one, I think. So nothing's original anymore. Nothing's real. Nothing's true. And we're all living in the receipts of it. I guess. I don't know. I couldn't think of a word. Anyway, there's nothing we can do about it. Just watch original things. And then pray to God that they don't continue up on those. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website cpluscomedy.com where you can see me talk to your favorite comedians, entertainers, musicians, producers, writers, directors. This week I put out 2 episodes, 2 brand spanking new interviews of the show, The Interviews. The first one is Sarah Hester Roth. Let me see if this is actually up on the website. I think it is. Yeah, Sarah Hester Ross, excuse me. We talked about her new special, Don't Mess with a Redhead, as well as Bette Midler, Rachel Bloom, comedy, music, all this stuff. She's a fantastic listen and fantastic talk. I also talked to Daniel Van Kirk. You may know him as a comedian and podcaster. He just talked about his new special, Rose Gold. He also has a great you can watch that special on his YouTube channel. You can also buy the special album wherever you get your music. You get the same thing wherever you get albums, and same thing for Sarah Roth. But the thing is, I've talked to him before. Very funny guy. I apologize for hanging up on him when he was saying goodbye to me the first time a couple years ago. So it's wonderful. He's a fantastic chat too. So check both of those out, cpluscomedy.com. You can watch video versions of those on C Plus Comedy. If you subscribe to the Constitutionalist podcast, and I hope you do, you can find those interviews in audio form on this podcast feed. Speaking of podcasts, you can also listen to our other podcast, Late Night Lately, which is the late night podcast, which I'm about to record, and LinkedIn Logs, which is the jobs podcast. Both of those you can find wherever you get your podcasts. You can watch video versions of all the podcasts on youtube.com/cpluscomedy or cpluscomedy.com. You can go to TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at cpluscomedy. Me on those platforms at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. Go see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. They did not pay me for this, but they are open to sponsor if they want. I'll take your money, baby. Bye.